shouldn't really be here. You see, today is Saturday, and I'm an introvert. So according to my Instagram feed, I should be at home right now, curled up on the sofa with a good book, a hot cup of cocoa, and some kind of fluffy pet beside me. And when I was younger, I would have loved that. It would be my ideal day. Growing up, I was a shy child. I always felt so nervous and anxious before social situations, like the neighbour's Christmas party or large family gatherings. Thankfully, that was back in the 70s, and my mum wore these long ankle swinger skirts that I could hide behind. But when an adult did find me and ask me questions, because I felt so shy and out of place, I had a tendency to murmur my answers. Often this caused adults to talk over me, making me feel embarrassed and insignificant. In those moments, I concluded that my ideas and my stories, they weren't interesting or valuable to anyone else, so I should stay quiet and keep them to myself. And that strategy, honestly, served me really well. For a while, I became the classic good girl. I put my head down, I worked hard, I got good grades at school. In my company, I was a brilliant team player. Any of my successes became team and company wins. Until one job interview highlighted the dangerous position that I'd put myself in. After just 10 minutes, I was thrown out, accused of lying. In my shock, I asked why. I thought it had been going brilliantly. But when I talked about how we had done this and we'd achieved that, the interviewer hadn't seen me as a great team player. Oh no, she thought that I was someone with so little value to offer that I was passing someone else's work off as my own, stealing credit from other people. And that's when she threw me out. Sometimes we need these dramatic moments in our lives to wake us up to the truth behind our problems. But sometimes we just need to listen to a TED Talk and skip the agony. And that's what I'd like to do for you today. Because 3 days later, after that interview, when my pity fog cleared, I realized, damn it, she was right. Not that I'd stolen credit from anyone else, but I'd willingly given away mine. Too often, I see quieter people like myself who are talked over and overlooked. But worse still, over time, they've come to overlook themselves and allow their little voice to talk over their big ideas and ambitions. But from working with company leaders, ambitious women, entrepreneurs, and communication professionals over the years, I've seen that this doesn't just happen to introverts. I've seen company directors shy away from opportunities to network. Outgoing extroverts shy away from the opportunity to be visible online. And talented experts shy away from sharing their real views and opinions and visions with their colleagues. We've all had moments in life where we've opted for the quiet strategy, allowing our fears and doubts and that little voice to hold us back and eclipse our true value. If you've had that nagging sense that you are meant for more, but you don't want to have to shout or change anything about who you are to make a difference, I want to introduce you to the art of value whispering. It's a structure that I use that blends 3 decades of marketing and communications experience with my own experience of being an introvert who wants to make her mark in the world, but without having to change who I am or shout. Because it's only when we can show up comfortably as our real selves that we can really make an impact. To start value whispering for yourself, you need 3 things. You need to understand your value, you need to weave that through everything you do, and you need belief. Let me walk you through those stages. So the first is value understanding. It is impossible for you to allow your value to shine if you don't know what that is. So take some time to think about your skills, your experience, and your values. You may have already done some work in this respect, so if you have, dust it off and refresh it. This information will give you a good idea of your existing toolkit. What do you have that you can bring to the table? But don't stop there. Your true value is so much more than your values. Think about a time when you've given someone some advice. It's rarely based on just your skills and education. There's usually your life experience layered into that. So take some time to think about what really makes you you. What makes you come alive? What have your life experiences taught you? Those changes that you've lived through, those moments of intense pressure that taught you what you're really capable of, and those lessons that you learned the hard way. When you start to reflect on this, you'll start to see that life has gifted you a unique perspective and drive that no one else has. This, layered with your experience and skills, is a powerful combination. For example, my client, Catherine, she's a health coach. She has similar education and values to many other health coaches, so she was struggling to see what made her different, what made her stand out. But we started to look more into her story, into her life experiences, and we struck diamonds. You see, aged 40, Catherine was pretty grumpy. She was tired, she was overwhelmed, she wasn't fit and healthy at all. But age 52, she's in the best shape of her life. She's vibrant, energetic, and really excited about what the future holds. She has come to realize that many women are being sold a lie, that when it comes to midlife, our health is all downhill. As soon as she recognized this and layered that into her experience and her skills and her ability to make a difference, she instantly started to have more meaning in her work and make an impact. Small at first, but she was making an impact. The second stage, once you understand your value and you start to embrace all of it, is to start weaving. You want to take that value and make it part of everything that you do. This can feel a little bit strange because over time, in one way or another, we've learned that if we talk about our value and our strengths, that's bad. That's bragging. That's being full of yourself. Nobody likes that. On the other hand, if you talk about your flaws and your failures, that's also bad. That hints that you're weak and not good enough. The trouble is, that leaves you somewhere in the middle, feeling ordinary, and just like everybody else, like Catherine felt. So you want to take all of that value from stage 1 and feed it into everything that you do. Allow it to lead your decisions, your actions. When you do this, you won't have to shout about your value. You will naturally be letting people feel it, and your difference will be clear. Because when we're being our real, authentic selves, our whisper has this resonance that attracts the right people and opportunities into our lives. And that's when we can really have an impact. So when you come to weave your value, this isn't about marketing or selling or branding yourself the way anyone else says you should. This is about you being you, doing what feels right. And this is where it gets really fun, because all those must-dos and should-haves, you can just let them go and do things your way. For example, in 2021, I found that I had been sharing content online, but I don't share content every day and I never do live videos. But my approach feels comfortable and right for me. And in 2021, LinkedIn named me as one of their 15 most authentic contributors across the hundreds and thousands of people on their platform. So never underestimate just how far your whisper can be heard. Then we come to the third step, and this ensures that you can take the first step and every step with joy and comfort and confidence. It's all about self-leadership and belief. Over my years of working with various different people on the value whispering, I've discovered that knowing your value and weaving it through everything you do isn't quite enough. You have to believe in it. So think to all those moments where you've made yourself proud and when you've been praised by others. And look at what that tells you about your ability to make a difference and have an impact. But also look into what that tells you about what you need. What are those conditions and environment that you need to protect your ability to make that impact happen? Again, this is where any should-haves or must-dos can go out the window because this is all personal to you. Then finally, you want to put boundaries around it to protect your time and energy and focus and your ability to live into that value every day. Remembering that boundaries always work best when you keep them. When I think about value whispering in my mind, it feels like mining for a diamond. Because first you need to dig deep to find that seam rich in potential. Then you have that rock and you chip away to find the precious stone within. Then you shape it, ready for its final purpose, and polish it to a brilliant shine. And when the light hits that diamond, dozens of beams are sent out in all directions, casting rainbows on any surface that they touch. When you understand your true value and you whisper it every day through your work, you will start to have this beautiful kaleidoscope effect. You don't always know what's going to happen, but you know you can trust you're going to cast those beautiful rainbows, have a beautiful result. Do you remember that nightmare interview I had in my 20s? Well, the very first time I experienced value whispering in practice was in the very next interview. 2 weeks later, this time, I proudly talked about my successes and how I'd made them happen. I was clear about my failures and what that had taught me and the shift in perspective that I'd had and how that had given me a fresh vision for the future. And I got the job. On the first day, my boss had told me how they were so excited. They were blown away by my interview. They tried everything they could not to give me the job on the spot. In whispering my value, I became the obvious choice. Since then, I've continued to weave my value. I've been promoted. I've been awarded various recognitions. But perhaps what I'm most proud of is helping others, other business owners, to communicate and whisper their value so they've been able to attract the right clients and opportunities into their business and have an impact they feel proud of. But I can't help but wondering how many other people are holding back because they feel they have to change who they are, they have to be loud in order to have an impact. So I'd love to invite you to start here today a mine for your diamond. And together we can show people that they don't have to be loud. They don't need to shout to share their value and make a difference because their whisper is already loud enough.